Introduction. In the previous unit we have looked at the process of writing in general, how the act of writing takes place in the writer's mind. We undertake different types of writing in our daily life, and each type of writing generally follows the same process that we have learnt earlier, but they are different in structure, content and use of language. This means, letter writing is not the same as essay writing. Writing a paragraph by looking at a visual is not the same as writing a paragraph by looking at a flow chart or a map. These types are distinct in their own ways. The old dictum, "the more you write the better you will write," is something which you should follow. Let us together in this unit look into the various forms of writing activity so that you become a better writer. Different types of writing. Let us undertake the study of some of the forms of writing, like reading a map, understanding a visual, keeping diaries, writing conversations, dialogues, letters, emails, reports, etc. Together, they constitute the traditional and the non-traditional forms of writing. However, we will not go into details of paragraph and essay writing, as these have been extensively dealt with in earlier units. Filling of forms. This is a common activity which each one of us has to do in our daily life, whether it is to seek admission in school, college, reserving, cancelling a berth on a train, or booking, cancelling a ticket on a flight, opening or closing a bank account, depositing, transferring money, etc. For numerous purposes one has to fill forms. If the form is duly filled, it is likely to get accepted. Therefore, filling in forms is a very important activity. What are its salient features? To fill a form, one does not need to produce a long piece of text running into pages. You require factual information, which at the most is 2-3 words. Or, if it is an address, then it may be about 2 phrases, clauses at the most. The important point to note is that you must be accurate. The most common of forms that you need to fill these days are online forms. We will give you practice in filling an online form by providing you the following link. Information transfer. This is another type of a writing activity in which a learner is required to write a paragraph based on reading and interpreting a graph, a chart, table, or giving directions based on a map. This transfer of non-verbal skills to verbal form, writing a paragraph or report, develops composing or writing skills. This is an important study skill, which would help you develop analytical faculties and will be useful to you in the study of subjects like mathematics, science, commerce, etc. In fact, form filling is also another type of information transfer. Example: read the following description of Rush's school and transfer the information into a graphic form. I study in Tekis Vidyalaya. In front of my school there is a park named Atmajoti Park, and behind it is a huge playground where the Garba festival is held. To the right of my school there is a huge supermarket, big bazaar, and next to it is the center square mall. On the left of the school is a big building which houses the famous Meridian Hospital. The graphic prepared will look something like the picture drawn below. Garba Playground, Meridian Hospital, Tekis Vidyalaya, Big Bazaar, Center Square Mall, Atmajoti Park. Now let us show you how to write a more difficult but an interesting piece which would be useful to you in your academic life. Now let us show you how to write a more difficult but an interesting piece which would be useful to you in your academic life. Types of vision problems. Most common adult vision problems. Most common childhood vision problems. Blurred vision, called refractive errors. Blurred vision, called refractive errors. Age-related macular degeneration. Crossed eyes, called strabismus. Glaucoma. Lazy eye. Cataract. Diabetic retinopathy. Blurred vision, refractive errors. Myopia. Hyperopia. Presbyopia. Astigmatism. Nearsightedness. Can see clearly up close. Farsightedness. Can see clearly in the distance. Reading after 40. Blurred vision. Can't read fine print. Shape of cornea. The figure presents the types of vision problems at 2 levels. Types of visual problems and blurred vision. We first study the first level of the diagram. The title reads, Types of Vision Problems. This indicates that vision problems can be of several kinds, and we expect that they will be named. At the first level we find that the two main kinds are common adult problems and common child problems. Below, common adult problems are listed 5 kinds of vision problem, and under common child problems are listed 3. We next see that the first problem listed under each is blurred vision, or refractive errors. This is taken up at the next level of classification. 4 kinds are listed. Each kind is then briefly described in the boxes below the heads. Now let us go through the steps of writing this information as running text. We first state the topic. Vision problems are of 2 major types. We then name them, those that are common among adults and those that are common among children. This can also be stated as, there are 2 major types of vision problems, those that are common among adults and those that are common among children. We then take up the list under adult problems. Adult vision problems can be of 5 different kinds. These include blurred vision, also called refractive errors, age-related macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataract and diabetic retinopathy. Next we take up the list under child problems. Vision problems among children can be of 3 different kinds. These are blurred vision, also called refractive errors, crossed eyes or strabismus, and amblyopic, commonly known as lazy eye. The next step deals with the common problem listed under both heads, namely, blurred vision or refractive errors. These are classified as 4 different types. Blurred vision or refractive errors may be classified as follows: myopia or nearsightedness, hyperopia or farsightedness, presbyopia or reading problem that appears after 40 years of age, and astigmatism or defect in the shape of the cornea. We then describe each category. Myopia or nearsightedness is the ability to see things that are at close range but inability to see things at a distance. Hyperopia or farsightedness, as the name implies, is the reverse of myopia, that is, the ability to see things at a distance but not being able to see things at close range. Presbyopia is a reading-related problem that appears after the age of 40. This involves inability in reading small print at close range. Astigmatism is another condition that causes blurred vision. This involves a defect in the shape of the cornea. We can now put the entire text together. Types of vision problems. There are 2 major types of vision problems, those that are common among adults, and those that are common among children. Adult vision problems can be of 5 different kinds. These include blurred vision, also called refractive errors, age-related macular degeneration, glaucoma, cataract and diabetic retinopathy. Vision problems among children can be of 3 different kinds. These are blurred vision, also called refractive errors, crossed eyes or strabismus, and amblyopia, commonly known as lazy eye. Blurred vision or refractive errors may be further classified as follows: myopia or nearsightedness, hyperopia or farsightedness, presbyopia or reading problem that appears after 40 years of age, and astigmatism or defect in the shape of the cornea. The cornea. Myopia or nearsightedness is the ability to see things that are at a close range, but inability to see things that are at a distance. Hyperopia or farsightedness is the reverse of myopia, that is the ability to see things that are at a distance, but not being able to see things that are at close range. Presbyopia is a reading-related problem that appears after the age of 40. This involves the inability in reading small print at close range. Astigmatism is another condition that causes blurred vision. This involves a defect in the shape of the cornea. You will notice that the words in bold in the text are used in performing the function of classifying. They are the discourse markers that indicate what is to follow. Diaries. A diary is a personal record, and hence diary entries are usually individualistic and personal. We do not need to write complete sentences. Some words, phrases in the form of notes are sufficient clues of what the writer wants to say. Thoughts and feelings are often expressed in a disconnected manner as they flash through the mind. More often than not, abbreviations are used, and hence in a diary entry one does not find complete sentences. At times ambiguity or even disconnected thought process is observed. Let us set up a task and further clarify this form of writing activity. Task 1. This is a page from Sheila's diary. Rewrite this diary entry in the form of a continuous paragraph. Woke up at 7, mom not at home. Granny says gone to the hospital. Worried. Dad comes home at 8, leaves me at school. I want to go to hospital. Dad says no. Evening, dad picks me up from school. All smiles, we go straight to hospital. How nice to see mom. Oh. Baby brother, so soft, cuddly like a doll. I'll call him Jojo. I am Aka now. Today, happiest day of my life. Let us take a look at some more famous diary entries which many of you would have already read. The Diary of Anne Frank. She was a 13-year-old Jewish girl who wrote about her experiences of hiding from Hitler's Gestapo. Kitty is the name she gives to the imaginary person she writes to. Read about Anne Frank from the internet. Task 2. Wednesday, the 13th of January 1943. Terrible things are happening outside. At any time of night and day, poor helpless people are being dragged out of their homes. They're allowed to take only a rucksack and a little cash with them, and even then, they're robbed of these possessions on the way. Families are torn apart. Men, women and children are separated. Children come home from school to find that their parents have disappeared. Women return from shopping to find their houses sealed, their families gone. The Christians in Holland are also living in fear because their sons are being sent to Germany. Everyone is scared. Every night hundreds of planes pass over Holland on their way to German cities, to sow their bombs on German soil. Every hour hundreds, or maybe even thousands, of people are being killed in Russia and Africa. No one can keep out of the conflict. The entire world is at war, and even though the Allies are doing better, the end is nowhere in sight. I could spend hours telling you about the suffering the war has brought, but I'd only make myself more miserable. All we can do is wait, as calmly as possible, for it to end. Saturday, the 30th of January 1943. Dearest Kitty, I'm seething with rage, yet I can't show it. I'd like to scream, stamp my foot, give mother a good shaking, cry and I don't know what else because of the nasty words, mocking looks and accusations that she hurls at me day after day, piercing me like arrows from a tightly strung bow, which are nearly impossible to pull from my body. I'd like to scream at mother, Margot, the Van Dans, Dussel and father too. Leave me alone, let me have at least one night when I don't cry myself to sleep with my eyes burning and my head pounding. Let me get away from everything, away from this world. But I can't do that. I can't let them see my doubts, or the wound they've inflicted on me. I couldn't bear their sympathy or the good-humored derision. It would only make me want to scream even more. Everyone think I'm showing off when I talk, ridiculous when I'm silent, insolent when I answer, cunning when I have a good idea, lazy when I'm tired, selfish when I eat one bit more than I should, stupid, cowardly, calculating, etc., etc. All day long I hear nothing but what an exasperating child I am, and although I laugh it off and pretend not to mind, I do mind. I wish I could ask God to give me another personality, one that doesn't antagonize everyone. But that's impossible. I'm stuck with the character I was born with, and yet I'm sure I'm not a bad person. I do my best to please everyone, more than they'd ever suspect in a million years. When I'm upstairs, I try to laugh it off because I don't want them to see my troubles. Task 3. The principal of your college maintains a diary of his important engagements every day. Can you complete his itinerary, timetable on the annual day celebrations of your college? Then write a paragraph on her engagements for the day. Annual day celebrations. Time. Activity undertaken. 10 a.m. Meeting with all teachers. 11 a.m. Inspecting all preparations undertaken. 12 noon. Receiving the chief guest. 1 p.m. 2 p.m. 4 p.m. 5 p.m. Dialogues. Dialogues fall under the category of spoken English. Nowadays, writing dialogues also forms a testing item in the English question papers. Due to large classrooms, direct testing of spoken English is not practical. This language item therefore forms a part of the composition classroom. This is a highly creative activity, and if undertaken in the classroom from the primary level, can help create a sense of the spoken form of the language. What are the characteristics of a natural dialogue? A natural dialogue, conversation, need not be in full sentences always. Involves use of simple vocabulary. Allows use of informal forms like can't, don't, am, won't, etc. Involves use of colloquial expressions like oops, wow, dad, tummy, etc. The dialogues could also be formal in nature. For example, a conversation between a student and a teacher, or a boss and an employee, or it could be informal, for example, a casual conversation between a mother and a son, or between two friends or cousins, etc. The formality or the informality of the dialogue depends upon the relationship between the speaker and the listener. A dialogue involves a minimum of 2 people, the speaker and the listener. It could involve 3 to 4 speakers as well. Example 1. Look at the following conversation between a mother and son. Daughter: Mom, our class is going on an excursion to Kausalī. Mother: when? Son: in May, during the summer holidays. Mother: for how many days? Any teachers accompanying? Son: for 10 days. Yes, 2 teachers are coming with us. Mother: charges? Son: not much, only 10,000 rupees per head. Mom: can I go? Mother: that's a lot, but I think you should go. You'll learn to be independent. Son: thanks Ma, you're so cool. Example 2. Look at the following conversation between a teacher and the principal. Teacher: may I come in, sir? Good morning, sir. Principal: yes, come in. Good morning. Teacher: I've come to request you to grant me leave for a few days. Principal: for how many days? Where do you have to go? Teacher: for a week, sir. I've to go to Delhi to attend a wedding in the family. Principal: what about your classes? Internal tests are in 15 days. Have you completed the course? Teacher: yes, sir, I have. Principal: okay, then that's fine. Enjoy the wedding. Teacher: thank you, sir. If you analyze both the conversations, you will see that the function of both the conversations was to seek permission, the daughter seeking permission to go on an excursion and the teacher seeking permission to go to Delhi. A tone of informality is seen in the first dialogue while it is formal in the second. The formality or the informality of the language used depends upon the relationship between the speaker and the listener. The differences between both conversations are tabulated below. Differences between Conversation 1 and Conversation 2. Relationship between speaker and listener. Words used. Sentence structure. Conversation 1. Informal, cordial, intimate. Coming, going, words of everyday use. Mom, so cool. Direct: can I go? You should. When? Charges: thanks Ma. Use of single words loaded with meaning understood by the listener. Conversation 2. Formal, hierarchical, distant. Sir, permission, grant, request, words denoting hierarchy, distance, may, use of modals. Indirect: grant me leave. Where do you have to go? For how many days? Thank you, sir. Use of full sentences. Beginning of conversation. Direct beginning. Begins with seeking permission to come in. Offers greetings. Add any other differences you can observe in both conversations. Letters. All of us write letters for various reasons. We may write letters to our friends, relatives, or we may write letters to people whom we do not know, yet with whom we want to communicate. Today, in the technological age, even sending emails is a type of letter writing. The purpose of a letter is to inform, invite, inquire, complain, congratulate, express sympathy, order goods, etc. Every letter has a writer, a reader, and a situation. Depending upon the purpose, writing letters can be divided into 2, formal and informal. Formal letters are written for business purposes, for example complaint letters, application for a job, ordering products, inquiring prices of products, interview call letters, appointment letters, seeking permission, etc. These letters are usually written to people whom we do not know on a personal level, or whom we haven't met at all, or have met for business reasons, or those people who hold a higher designation than us. For example, a teacher, student writing to a principal, teacher of a college would write a formal letter and not an informal one. Informal letters include all correspondence between friends, members of the family, relatives, etc. Emails are considered both formal as well as informal mode of communication because they are written for business as well as personal purposes. While we will primarily concentrate on emails, we shall also give you the structure of letters in case you need to write them. Structure of letters. Whether you write formal or informal letters, there are certain aspects which are common to both. The structure of formal and informal letters is given below. Tabulate the differences between the two of them. Structure of a formal letter. Writer's address, date, receiver's address, subject reference, salutation, body of the letter, subscription, signature, writer's full name below the signature. Structure of informal letter. Not only are formal and informal letters structurally different, the language of both types is also different. Consider the following examples and analyze the language used in both of them. You can take cues for analyzing the letters from the dialogue section of this unit. Example 1. William O'Connor, the 7th of November 20XX. Dear Rajesh, thanks for your letter and the wonderful photographs you sent with it. Looking at them, I was constantly reminded of the wonderful time we spent together at Panchmari. It was a trek that I'll never forget in my life. Remembering the thick vegetation, the dense forests, and the beautiful silver streak from the high mountains makes me wonder at the beauty of nature. I also wish to see more of such India not tarnished by the mechanized world. Thanks immensely for including me in your group and helping me see such a beautiful place. Next time you happen to arrange such a trip with friends, do count me in. Yours affectionately, William. Example 2. Rakshak Electric, 45, MG Road, Kolkata 440,010. November 7, 20XX. Diamond Cables, 25, Ann Besant Road, Worli, Mumbai. Subject, reference, prices of cable wires inquiry. Dear Sir, Madam, we have heard from reliable sources that the cables you manufacture are of a very high quality. Hardly any complaints have been recorded since its use in many buildings. We have secured a contract for electrifying a commercial complex in the Surendra Nagar area of Kolkata. We wish to use the cables manufactured by you for our project, for which we require 100,000 feet of cable wires. We request you to quote your most competitive prices so that we could place an order with you. Do also let us know your terms, conditions and the discount you can offer on the product. Hoping to hear from you soon. Yours truly, Rajesh Potdar, Materials Procurement Manager, Rakshak Electric. Emails. In this age of globalization, the fastest tool of written communication is email. Electronic mail, often abbreviated as email or email, is a method of exchanging digital messages. It has numerous advantages. It is fast, cheap, simple, efficient, and environment-friendly because it saves tons of paper. It is also versatile because through email one can send pictures, PowerPoints or other files. Another advantage of an email is that it is easy to prioritize and filter. Unlike regular modes of written communication, one does not need to read, review and scan all mails, and lastly, if the receiver's email ID is correct, rarely does it go astray. On the other hand, one of the biggest disadvantages of email, like any written tool of communication, is, it can become impersonal and can thus be misunderstood. Hence, it becomes necessary for the writer on email to know its format, structure, etiquette and language. Structure of an email. Food processor not working, invoice number 3441, the 18th of March. MES. X. Message. Insert. Arial. 95. Format text. An. Add-ins. ABC. Paste. View. Book. Names. Follow. Options. Proofing. Spelling. Clipboard. This message has not been sent. Subject. Food processor not working, invoice number 3441, the 18th of March. Dear Sir, Madam, I am writing to inform you about my disappointment with the recent purchase of Icon DLX food processor of Murphy Richards 1000 watt. It's not working. It doesn't switch on at all. We bought it yesterday. Please send somebody quickly to look into the matter. Looking forward for a quick action. Yours sincerely. An email message consists of two components, the message header and the message body, which means content. In the message header, along with the receiver's name, there are names of people to whom copies of the message are sent. They're called carbon copy, CC smiley face, and blind carbon copy, BCC smiley face, fields. If there is an attachment to the mail, an icon representing the attachment can be seen. The addresses in the CC field are of those people who need to know about the subject but are not required to act on the contents. The BCC field is useful where carefulness is required. People in this field are hidden away from other recipients in the CC fields. In emails, the subject line plays a vital role in prioritizing mails. Hence, one should take care in phrasing the subject line. The subject line should be brief and should aptly provide a clue to the contents of the message. For messages that are urgent, one can start the subject with the word urgent, or if the email is an invitation or a request or a reply, one can start with the words INV, REQ, or RE, respectively. The structure of an email is also known as the body of the message. It may be very similar to that of an informal, formal letter. The essential parts of a message body are 1. Greetings. Many people do not use a greeting, salutation in an email. In informal letters, it is advisable to use words like hi, hello, dear, followed by the receiver's first name. Dear can also be used in formal letters. 2. Body. This is the main body of the letter. It includes the message that the sender wants to tell the receiver. It is often developed into paragraphs or short points. 3. Closing. There are 3 subparts to the closing of an email, namely, pre-closing, closing and identification. The pre-closing and the closing must correspond with the degree of intimacy with the receiver. Identification is necessary because at times, the sender's email ID doesn't reveal her name and the receiver might mistake the mail for spam or junk mail. The following table shows how salutation should correspond with pre-closing and closing. Salutation. Hi Lecker. Hello Alvin dear Nazma. Pre-closing. See you soon, hear from you soon, tons of love. I look forward to hearing from you. Closing. Best wishes, all the best, cheers. Regards. Kind regards. Identification. Sender's name. 4. Signature. Default signatures should be used only in official correspondence. They are not required in informal mails. Language used in an email. Language used in an email may greatly vary according to different contexts, the subject matter and even the senders. In formal contexts like job applications, language may be more formal and similar to that of formal letters. In informal contexts like chatting between friends, language use may tend to be less formal and more intimate. Why more intimate? 1. Sentence structure. Wide-ranging structures. 2. Formality and accuracy. Though not always necessary in informal code of written communication, formal grammar and spelling should be followed. 3. Punctuation. Punctuation is sometimes used in an individual and unconventional way in informal contexts, but rules of punctuation strictly apply in formal situations. 4. Style, shorthand, acronyms, abbreviations, colloquialisms, etc. are quite common. The following letter is an example of an informal invitation through email. Hi everyone. My suggestion is, let's have a potluck dinner and bring snacks and soft drinks. Please RSVP as soon as you can so that I can estimate how many people will be here and what everyone will bring. Eagerly waiting for your response. Amish. Etiquette in email. In any mode of communication, certain code of conduct has to be maintained. Since email has now emerged as a popular and powerful tool for communication, one must observe etiquette while using it. The following are some pointers for informal emails. 1. Summarize your message in the subject line. 2. Keep your message precise and focused. 3. Avoid using all capital letters, upper cases. Use of capital letters is an equivalent of shouting. 4. Do not write anything you would not like to say in public. These mails can be forwarded easily and hence may put you in an embarrassing situation. 5. You can use a smiley or emoticons to make sure that your statement or comment is not misunderstood, only in informal mails. 6. Do not send or even respond to chain letters. 7. Abbreviation usage is quite widespread with email. To save keystrokes, users have traded clarity for confusion. Some of the more common abbreviations are listed in the table below. Please do not use these in formal mails. Abbreviation. LOL, laugh out loud. BYW, means this. By the way. FYI, for your information. TTYL, talk to you later. TC, take care. TYT, take your time. For more abbreviations go to 8. Avoid. Flaming. Flaming occurs when one sends messages with angry or aggressive content. Formal emails more closely follow the style of formal letters. You have read about handwritten letters, formal, informal, and also about emails. Given below is a table. Fill the blanks by writing the differences between the two. Add more rows to complete the table. Difference between handwritten letters and emails. 1. They have a personal touch. 2. You cannot admire the sender's handwriting. 3. They take some time to reach. 4. They can be sent to many at a time. Reports. A report usually presents information in a logical, orderly and concise manner. The purpose of the report is to inform the reader about things that they do not know, hence all details need to be included. But at the same time unnecessary details need to be avoided. This ensures completeness of the report. The report should be accurate. Hence any false information should be avoided. There should be clarity in the report. It should be clear enough for the reader to understand and take action if necessary. The language should be simple. Jargon and technical language should be avoided. The salient features of a report can thus be summarized as under. A report is brief, accurate, complete and clear. Usually written in third person. Includes only relevant details, there are no digressions. Avoids emotional overtones. Ideas are logically arranged. Language is simple. Jargon is avoided. Forms of writing. The earlier section deals with different types of writing that we are required to undertake in our daily life. The author can choose from the different forms to express his intent. The selection would depend upon what he wants to convey. For example, why is the writing task being undertaken? Is it for entertaining the readers? Is it for informing readers? Is it for presenting one's point of view? Is it for persuading the readers to accept one's points of view? Answers to the above questions influences the type of choices the writer makes of the form S he wants to adopt. It means that the writer has to choose the right manner to express his intent. For example, the writer may have used the narrative form when expository perhaps would have been more effective on a given topic, or the writer may have in a casual manner expressed his feelings when perhaps a lyrical or a poetic way would have given a lot of pleasure to the readers. Thus, the writer has to choose the appropriate form of writing so as to decide on the different genres: drama, poetry, prose, fiction, short story, etc., depending upon the intent and readers' needs and expectations. Each form has a unique structure and it is important to know the distinctions between them. Let us look at some of them. We have already covered some of these in the earlier units. While this might appear repetitive, but the additional details will help you to further revise and practice. Descriptive writing. Descriptive writing involves description of people, places, objects, or events using appropriate details. An effective description usually contains sufficient and varied elaboration of details which are usually sensory and selected to describe what the writer sees, hears, smells, touches, and tastes. These paint a picture in the minds of the readers so that they become an integral part of the visual process. Word pictures created makes the writing more interesting, easier to understand, and contributes and supports the topic the writer is describing. Use of these details also paint pictures of feelings and emotions. How can you write an effective description? Some cues are given below which could be useful to you. Establish the intent, that is, how does one want the reader to feel? Choose 2 or 3 details to help create the atmosphere one wishes them to experience. Show, don't tell. This can be done by replacing linking verbs, is, are, were, with action verbs. Using figurative language such as analogies, similes, metaphors to make real, but powerful comparisons. Choosing precise language, noting sensory details. Using specific adjectives, nouns and strong action words to give life to the picture instead of general adjectives, nouns and passive verbs. Descriptive writing is well organized based on the foundation of chronology, time, space, location, and prioritization. Example of descriptive writing. In the following paragraph, observe how the writer moves clearly from a description of the head of the clown, in sentences 2, 3, and 4, to the body, sentences 5, 6, 7, and 8, to the unicycle underneath, sentence 9. Notice also how the concluding sentence helps to tie the paragraph together by emphasizing the personal value of this gift. A friendly clown. On one corner of my dresser sits a smiling toy clown on a tiny unicycle, a gift I received last Christmas from a close friend. The clown's short yellow hair, made of yarn, covers its ears but is parted above the eyes. The blue eyes are outlined in black with thin, dark lashes flowing from the brows. It has cherry red cheeks, nose, and lips, and its broad grin disappears into the wide, white ruffle around its neck. The clown wears a fluffy, two-tone nylon costume. The left side of the outfit is light blue, and the right side is red. The 2 colors merge in a dark line that runs down the center of the small outfit. Surrounding its ankles and disguising its long black shoes are big pink bows. The white spokes on the wheels of the unicycle gather in the center and expand to the black tire so that the wheel somewhat resembles the inner half of a grapefruit. The clown and unicycle together stand about a foot high. As a cherished gift from my good friend Tran, this colorful figure greets me with a smile every time I enter my room. Expository writing. Exposition refers to an act of explaining something or making clear. The aim of the writer in expository writing is not primarily to narrate or describe, it is mainly to explain facts, ideas, or beliefs. The writer has to assume that the reader has no prior knowledge of the topic being described. Hence, every little detail has to be written. This type of writing is distinct in terms of purpose, design, and function of language. Techniques which can be used in writing expository texts are: explanation of a process, use of examples, reasons in support of a statement, comparison and contrast, classification, restatement, definition, analogy, cause and effect, analysis. Expository writing involves different organizational patterns, some of which are graphically presented below. Look at an example of a text followed by the graphic. Description. The Olympic symbol consists of 5 interlocking rings. The rings represent the 5 continents: Africa, Asia, Europe, North America and South America, from where athletes compete in the various events. The rings are colored: red, black, yellow, blue and green. At least one of these colors is found in the flag of the countries whose athletes come to participate in the Games. The modern Olympics is unlike the ancient Olympic Games. Individual events are different. While there were no swimming races in the ancient Games, there were chariot races. No female athletes competed in the Games while all athletes were males. Of course, the ancient and the modern Olympics are also alike in many ways. Some events like the javelin and discus throw are the same. Today, people are of the opinion that cheating, professionalism and nationalism in modern games are a disgrace to the Olympic tradition. However, in the times of the ancient Greeks, cheating, professionalism and nationalism was also rampant. Human beings evidently haven't changed. Alike, different, cause and effect. There are several reasons why so many people attend the Olympic Games or watch them on television. One reason is tradition. The name Olympics and the torch and flame remind people of the ancient games. People can escape the ordinariness of daily life by attending or watching the Olympics. They like to identify with someone else's individual sacrifice and accomplishment. National pride is another reason an athlete's or a team's hard-earned victory becomes the nation's victory. There are national medal counts and people keep track of how many medals their country's athletes have won. Effect 1. Cause. Effect 2. Effect 3. Problem and solution. One problem with the modern Olympics is that it has become very big and expensive to operate. The city or country that hosts the games often loses a lot of money. Stadiums, pools and playing fields must be built for the athletic events. Housing is needed for the athletes who come from all over the world. And all of these facilities are used for only 2 weeks. In 1984, Los Angeles solved these problems by charging a fee for companies who wanted to be the official sponsors of the games. Companies like McDonald's paid a lot of money to be a part of the Olympics. Many buildings that were already built in the Los Angeles area were also used. The Coliseum, where the 1932 games were held, was used again, and many colleges and universities in the area became playing and living sites. Problem. Solution. One can thus see that expository writing along with its different organizational patterns are being used in our daily life. Usually any article from a book, magazine or newspaper is of an expository nature where the objective of the author is to inform the reader of the topic being written. You too have to submit assignments, which usually are of an expository nature. Let us now turn to narrative writing. Narrative writing. Narrative writing is an account of sequence of events, usually in a chronological order. It can take various forms including personal essays, biographical sketches and autobiographies in addition to short stories and plays. It can be used by highly imaginative scientists, scholars and historians. Many historians narrate historical events, bringing the past to the present for the benefit of the readers. Narrative writing helps us to loosen up and write naturally and creatively. But telling a story is different from writing a story. If the narrator forgets certain points, he can always add them later on, but in writing, the writer has to keep in mind the characters, theme, role played by each character, details of expressions, tone of voice, etc. Most importantly, the flow of the story should be maintained while keeping the readers in mind. A completely developed narrative fiction has a central theme that is introduced at the beginning, followed by its development, an eventful middle and a memorable end. Adopting this form of writing, the author needs to bring to life his subject by using questions, who, what, where, when, why and how, which would make the basic story structure realistic and exciting. Concrete, vivid language to show readers what is happening. Visual elements to involve readers. Persuasive writing. This type of writing is all about trying to convince the reader to change their opinions and sway them with logic, moral appeals, and emotional language. The author places an argument before the readers and then tries to convince them. It also involves convincing the readers to perform an action. Effective persuasion in the written form is accomplished through a combination of clearly expressed position that is supported by various examples and evidence. The elements that can build an effective persuasive paragraph are the following: establishing facts to support an argument, clarifying relevant values for the readers, sequencing the facts and values, forming and stating conclusions, persuading readers that conclusions are based upon facts and shared values. Having the confidence to persuade. Strategies to write persuasive writing are: 1. Using repetition. 2. Using metaphors, analogies, similes to relate writing to something that the reader can relate to, so that acceptance is immediate. 3. Using a story or anecdote to make readers understand your point of view. Understand your point of view. 4. Addressing objections. 5. Quoting famous people. 6. Using rhetorical questions. 7. using predictions or questions in conclusions so that readers' thinking is activated. We would like to end this section by writing about argumentative writing as it bears similarity to persuasive writing. But there are distinct differences between the two, which are tabulated below. 1. Persuasive. Objective. To W the reader over to the author's side. Argumentative. Objective. Present a valid argument and allow the reader to adopt a position either to agree or disagree with the writer's position. Accept it as another point of view which merits further thought and discussion. 2. Only one side of the issue is presented, debated. Both side of the issue is presented, one to substantiate one's own position and the other to refute the opposing argument. In organization, basic essay format is followed. Statement is made, followed by claims and counterclaims. 3. Use of first person is not advisable, but use of statistics, expert quotations and other evidence can be used for supporting or for rebuttal. The author thus has a repertoire of forms to choose from to express his intent. However, the point that definitely needs mentioning is that these forms are not watertight compartments in which there is no space for other forms to mingle and integrate. Boundaries of these forms are porous, and a writer can use an eclectic approach to convey thoughts and ideas. For example, a writer may choose to write a narrative in which description of certain aspects highlights the entire sequence of events. The narrative mode thus forms an outline in which description becomes an integral component, each retaining its distinctiveness and identity. Let us sum up. In this unit you have been acquainted with different types of writing, their salient characteristics and formats. We have also made you aware of the different genres and forms of writing. Some of these we had already touched upon in earlier units. However, we have added additional information in this unit. We hope you will be able to use these insights to be better writers. Most of your student life and later life at the workplace is dependent on your writing skills, so please take these units seriously and improve your writing skill.